Think of yourself as a chef. You're on the clock. You're being asked to deliver. These people came to the restaurant. This is our chance. You make this thing, and then the owner comes in who doesn't understand how to cook and says, instead of onions, let's use pecan. Dude, I cooked it already.
I want to add this thing to bring more value so they have more success. They're adding more things, just increases complexity.
It's not about Googling. You cannot Google wisdom. You need to have mentors. You need to have coaches. That's what I've been learning.
And that can be very hard to give that feedback and truly not being about you. You can think it's not about you, but then you're like, oh, fuck.
It's like asking, do you like this button? Yeah, because that looks good. But the user haven't used that button yet.
Two vascular surgeons walk into a bar and come out with a podcast. We are talking everything vascular and not. Welcome to the Life of Flow podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Life of Flow podcast. Today, we talk to Omer Haciomeroglu. Omer is the co-founder of Quake Technologies. Basically, he made a VR headset for firefighters. And after going through his founder's journey, now he coaches other founders on how to navigate this super interesting world. So hope you guys enjoy. Vamos. Omer, welcome to the Life of Flow podcast, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me.
Omer, we've been friends for how long now? It's been a while.
A little over a year.
A little over a year.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you're definitely one of the most interesting people I know and doing some of the coolest things. You know, that one of the persons doing the coolest things that I know. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you? What are you doing? What's been your path? And yeah, how you got here?
So, hi, my name is Omer. I'm a founder coach. I work with startup founders, especially around deep tech and investors to build decision-making systems and execution plans, as well as leadership coaching.
And how did you get into that?
So I've been a deep tech founder myself for over a decade. About a decade ago, me and my co-founders founded our company. Originally, the project was one of my master's project back in Sweden. That was a concept, but it was such a good concept that it won some awards. And one of my co-founders actually wanted to purchase for one of his volcanic expeditions. He was doing a lot of cool shit back in the day.
What was your volcanic expedition sounds pretty cool. So what was your project, your company?
So the project it's called See Through. It's an all-in streamlined firefighter smoke diving helmet where when the firefighters go in the building, smoke field building for the rescue. So the helmet conceptually allowed them to see through chemical smoke and detect the victims.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Well, back then it was a concept. It was based on some of the military technologies, as in the F-35 jet helmets and such back in the day.
But it could see through the smoke?
That conceptually.
Okay. Now it can.
Yeah.
Okay. With LiDAR or something?
No, it's thermal camera. I mean, we tested with LiDAR, but LiDAR doesn't work in smoke. We quickly found that out after building a couple of proof of concept prototypes.
Okay, and what's your background? Are you an engineer or?
No, my background is in advanced product design. I come from the kitchen. I'm a maker, by heart. And when I was studying advanced product design as my master's back in Sweden, I came up with the concept. The concept won some awards, became viral, and one of my co-founders actually found me through my viral design, and we decided to make it into a reality.
And he wanted to go down volcanoes with it.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of volcanic expeditions. He's been doing a lot of cool projects, and he wanted to purchase a couple of units. I said, like, dude, it doesn't exist. And we totally put our heads together, and then the team got together over the course of the first year, a year and a half, and then we started building.
Cool. And how was that experience? Like, before that, you were in Sweden.
Yeah.
But you're not from Sweden.
No, I'm Turkish. I'm from Turkey. Yeah.
So how did you
Istanbul.
end up in Sweden?
Um, After graduation, I worked in Turkey for a while, and then I decided to do my master's in Sweden. It's a design högskolan, which is one of Sweden's best design schools. So I applied, and I got selected out of 300 applicants at the time, and they only select 10. And so I got selected, and it was a beautiful journey. It's such a good school. So many talented people. It's very humbling having studied at Umeå Institute of Design.
And then how did you find yourself in Austin?
That's a longer story. Um, I was when my co-founder reached out to me to, purchase a couple of my he thought it was a real product. I was working in Gothenburg, Sweden, with a design agency called Cliff Design, which, is one of the best design firms in Sweden. Um, and but I wasn't really happy with my life. Not the company, but in general, like I wasn't really happy. And when the opportunity came, I was receiving a lot of emails at the time about the project, like companies around the world wanted to distribute because they also thought the project was real. A lot of firefighters reaching, which was a proof point, which was a proof that this was a need, this was a demand, not just an interest. So that was the signal. I was putting together with my complete novice mindset, trying to put together these business models. I was so sure it was so easy, and then my co-founder came in, and then we started building, and quickly realized that I it was the right choice to team up with different areas of expertise. So yeah,
So how did you end up in Austin?
okay. So all my co-founders are Americans, and the first 3 years, I can divide it into 3 plus 3 plus 4, right? In my decade-long founder experience, first 3 years was kind of couch surfing, uh, in a way, bootstrapping and couch surfing, doing side gigs to keep the lights on for all the co-founders. We all had our own things happening while we were building the company. That's the first 3 years, just like bootstrapping, finding some money here and there, building our first prototypes. Completely guerrilla, uh, uh, yeah, bootstrapping. I don't know what else to call it. And then the second 3 years is now we had some funding. We were able to pay ourselves something. So I moved to San Francisco. So I was there for 3 years. My co-founders, my CEO co-founder, he's been in San Francisco for over a decade at the time. My CTO co-founder, he's been in Upper East Side Manhattan for a long time already. And and my other co-founder, the chief business officer, he was in Chicago, and I was the only one that was abroad. And so now I moved to San Francisco. We kept building for 3 years. And then my CEO co-founder decided to move to Austin, and me being a bachelor and kind of like, living the life, being able to take risk, I said like, you know what, let's just do it. It's just, sure, I'll come along. So I moved in Austin with them, and here I am over 4 years now.
Cool. And what's the state of the company now?
It's post Series A. We are raising our pre-Series B bridge round right now to scale up our manufacturing. The product is out there. We are selling to the cities and the fire departments right now.
You
Yeah.
built the fucking virtual firefighter, helmet.
So, well, yes and no. It's not a red helmet anymore because we quickly realized that it is. So here's the journey, right? Like there's the concept, that's the vision. It's like, oh yeah, let's build this. And then there's the reality, right? There's the business reality, there's the technical reality, there's the product reality, and there's the business and product roadmap that came along with our journey. So the concepts quickly, as it became more real, as we built more and more proof of concepts and prototypes, we realized that the product had to evolve to meet the business needs as well as the manufacturing and launch needs. So it evolved into an external device that clips on the helmet instead of a full helmet. So now it's a fireproof IoT device that clips on the helmet with a heads-up display with indoor location tracking capabilities and allows them to see through chemical smoke. But the compass on the display actually points you to your exit in case you need to make a quick exit. Yeah, and then we have a tablet app, which I didn't have in the original concept. Now the incident commander can see what everybody sees on the fire ground in real time and send them two-way messages. And we have a cloud platform where we store all the data in case the agencies, meaning, let's say, San Diego Fire Department, have access to their historical data for forensics and training purposes.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
thank you. Yeah, it's been a
Okay.
journey.
And so you're doing that, and at the same time, you decided that you wanted to help people go on that journey that you went, and take all the things that you learned to bring other people's vision into reality.
Correct. Being a founder is a very lonely journey. And like we were four co-founders and we were all very capable four co-founders. And even then, um, actually we are five co-founders actually.
It's a lot of co-founders.
It is, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is a complex project. So,
Yeah.
so being a founder is a very lonely journey. You can have like it's like having a new child for the first time as a couple, right? Like before you have intimacy and like you do all these things, there's a room for curiosity, play, and adventure. Once you have the child, everything becomes about that child. Being a co-founder or a founder is the same thing. Now the product is the center of attention, and you gradually lose the connection, um, unless you keep it up through socialization, being like socializing together or going for retreats and similar activities. Um, in my journey, we were all executing in our own little silo. So knowing how lonely a founder journey is, even though you have a lot of people around you, um, I wanted to give something back to the founders. I'm no longer full time with my startup since a little over a year, and I started mentoring at Capital Factory, which is Texas's biggest venture capital and accelerator program. And over the years, I've been with them for a year and a half. And it started dawning on me that I really enjoy coaching. And I also myself have gone through a bunch of other modalities myself, in leadership programs, in plant medicine and no plant medicine containers, as well as the Taoist and tantric practices, as well as my own Stoic practices over the course of the last 5 6 years. So all of that gave me a perspective on, kind of allowed me to integrate my own founder journey. And I found myself being a really good coach and mentor for founders and decided to do that professionally.
How does that help someone build a company? Like all these different experiences, plus obviously your founder journey gives you that experience, but how does everything else that you've done bring value to someone that just wants to create a product, that wants to create a company?
So there are several factors that I think boil together in my journey. One is I come from the kitchen. I know the kitchen. I know
What do you mean by the kitchen?
it's the technical side of things. It's the maker side of things, building prototypes, proofing concepts, building MVPs, and then preparing them for like DFMing them, meaning design for manufacturing, preparing them for launch, and then once you launch, get user feedback, keep getting user feedback, and then optimizing the product and then scaling it. I know that whole pipeline myself firsthand because that's my training. That's my main area of expertise. On top of that, as a co-founder, I've been in on many fundraising sprints that we had. I was there as my co-founder, especially my CEO co-founder, has been fundraising, and I've been supporting him in this journey, as well as working with the government. The Homeland Security is our commercialization partner, so like I've been in on that government funding journey as well, being on the grant writing to sitting in the cadence call, so I know how that pipeline works. as well as having my own kind of founder journey, right? Like my relationship with my co-founders, the power dynamics, and the way each one of us showed up as we should, and we haven't shown up as like despite how we should have showed up. Um, Hired the right people, hired the wrong people, fired the right people, fired the wrong people, survived many financial near death experiences. So I have seen all of these things, bootstrapping and making shit happen, just like, sneaking in prototypes into big events, hijacking to like whatever you do as a first time founder to make shit happen. So I've been through the whole grind firsthand. And then um this my spiritual journey, I guess, is has allowed me to learn how to hold that space, kind of stepping into the teacher's path, right? Like knowing something is not the same as teaching something, right? You need to learn how to take yourself off that equation and be there for this one person, and hold space for their journey. So I guess my own spiritual modalities helped me to actually understand how to hold that space for the other person. And the third component is the leadership training program that I did. Um, the one I did was ALA, Ascension Leadership Academy, and that taught me a lot. It was such a powerful container where um, I realized how I was not showing up, um, and reflected back in my own founder journey. And, like, what would I do differently if I knew what I knew right now? I mean, it's not just ALA, it's like everything coming together, right? Having wasted a bunch of money, having wasted a bunch of time, having wasted a bunch of relationships in the process. What would I do differently if I did it again? It wouldn't take probably us. I mean, that probably applies for my co-founders as well, right? Like they've been integrating their own learning as well. And it wouldn't take us 10 years. It would take us like 5 years, right? And our product, our platform has been a very complex platform, and our industry is a very conservative and tough industry, and we made it happen regardless. So, you know, if I were to do it again, how would I show up? Not just like when I say show up, I'm not only talking about just saying things or like doing things, but like how would I hold my fellow co-founders and my team accountable? Would I be able to acknowledge my mistakes openly? Would I hold a safe space for my team and my co-founders and vice versa, right? Like I'm speaking on everybody's behalf here a little bit. It's a founder's journey, right? Like you are an experienced novice, right? Like you're smart. You know up until the point where you are in your journey, but you don't have the repetition yet. You don't recognize patterns. Are you getting enough coaching? Are you getting the right mentorship? Do you have are you surrounding yourself with the right people to close the information and knowledge and wisdom gaps? It's not about Googling. You cannot Google wisdom, right? You need to have mentors. You need to have coaches. That's what I've been learning. Being a mentor to, I think, a little over 120 different startups since I started with Capital Factory. And it's been amazing. Some of them are my repeat mentees, and plus my clients, right? Going really diving deep with them and really understanding what's happening in this robotics company, in this other like medical device company, in this other like utilities company, in this like service company, and recognizing that all the founders are actually going through the same process, same problems, same patterns. And I am able to recognize them. I am able to point pitfalls out for them so they don't make costly mistakes like I have. In earlier parts of the startup, mistakes can be really costly. It can cost you millions.
What's the most common mistakes people make?
Oh, where to start?
All of
What
them.
part? Like pre MVP or post MVP or launch
Let's
and
just
scale?
well, let's just start with like, okay, someone, we talk to people in the healthcare industry. So someone has an idea. What's the first thing they do?
Is to
And what?
build on assumptions and then like completely after spending all that time and money realizing that their assumptions were wrong. Whereas they could have simply like one of the questions I ask my clients is like, what is the fastest way to you can test right now to prove that you're fooling yourself, right? and
Yeah.
and they have answers, but here's the interesting thing: they're so deep in the doing, they don't have the spaciousness, they don't have the space to pause and say like, well, hold on, everybody, pause. Are we building the right thing right now? How much are we building based on assumptions versus reality? And I'm not only saying data. You sometimes you don't have the technology to collect data yet, but you can simply go out and talk to people. You can build a box and put it in the vehicle. Let's see if it fits, right? Like it's like super cheap, cost-effective ways to just like, validate your assumptions early on. Talk to customers. Close the imagination gap with renders and concepts and things and say like, would you like something like this? And now at the age of AI, like, I mean, you can kind of simulate things, right? Simulate assumptions and like, get your answers and, if see if you need to pivot early on versus like build, and then like launch is like, oh shit, they don't like it. And oftentimes another thing, I don't know, does that answer? I can
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
more about
that
it.
definitely. No, but yeah, you were gonna say there's something else.
Yeah, like also like especially when it comes to hardware, any startup that involves any level of hardware is there's a disconnection between the technical founders and the business founders, right? Like technical founders oftentimes understand the kitchen. They come from the kitchen. Especially hardware engineering and product design people will know what it means to change anything on a hardware on the path of launch. Earlier on, if you're 3D printing, if that's just like a look and feel model or like a proof of concept, you can move things around. Post MVP and onward, when let's say you test the product with a customer and says like, oh, that button's location is weird, and the business founder says like, oh yeah, let's change it. What that can mean is like redoing the whole thing, meaning like all the experimentation that's been done, all the building, all the electronics, all the system level things need to move. So it's like saying like we built this building, now we're gonna move this column from here to here. It's not as simple as moving a column. You have to like sometimes undo a bunch of things, and that can be amazingly costly. Time, energy, money, and motivation. So that's a big startup killer that
Because it would decrease the motivation of your technical founder.
yeah, because like you've been in the kitchen cooking. It's just think of yourself as a chef. And you're on the clock, right? Like you're being asked to deliver. Oh, this is amazing, like opportunity. This people came to the restaurant. This is our chance. And then you make this thing, and then the owner comes in who doesn't understand how to cook and says like, oh, like actually instead of onions, let's use pecans. You're like, dude, I cooked it already. I have to recook the whole thing.
And figure out a whole new dish,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah, because the flavor won't fit and all that. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit here. Some products are easier to modify, but 80% of the time, that's a big lift in the to redo, and that's gonna cost you a lot of money, time, and energy and
And
motivation.
you see that mistake happen in the kind of pre-MVP, so minimal viable product to the MVP
I mean,
or
all across the
post-MVP.
board, it's
Oh,
it's
yes.
more forgiving earlier on because you're still kind of technically experimenting, right? Sometimes you don't have to build a product to prove a concept. It can be a benchtop prototype. Just electronics and wires and, duct tape and Frankenstein models will prove your concept, right? But as soon as you start shaping the product like a real product, that's going to look and feel like a real product, then it becomes like its features start to get baked in. So they're much harder to move around.
Okay. And what's the next stage? So we talked about MVP. What's the next stage?
So MVP is minimum viable product. MVP can mean two different things. Earlier on, you may need to build an MVP to fundraise. So that's not necessarily ready for launch, but it is very mature in technology and in functionality. But then, like, it may take some time to actually productize it. The second version of MVP is it's it's like you can monetize that MVP. It's ready to monetize, meaning you can sell that. Just refine it a little bit, some version of manufacturing, and you can monetize it. So that's the second type of MVP. After that second type of MVP, again, like it changes from product to product, but just ballpark. Engineering validation test. So there's EVT. Basically, you take that product and then now properly engineer it, right? That's engineering validation prototype.
How's that different from MVP?
MVP is minimum viable product. MVP is more like a description of like what is the bare minimum we need to have. Like remove all the bells and whistles that will take us time, money to build. What is the bare minimum that will make our product or services to be acceptable and monetizable? That's MVP. Um, EVT, engineering validation test, is taking that product and proving that the engineering is in place. Meaning it can be that's a broader, like, it could high level. I mean, if you have a software product, then you don't have this is okay, I feel it. Let me take it back. This is hardware specific. Software doesn't really have this. Software MVP, you can just launch it. There is no manufacturing involved. Hardware EVT is actually like if your product is a tactical product, let's say you drop test it. You test the electronics, like everything is working on an engineering level properly. So it's like your reliability level in terms of engineering is
Yeah,
high and
if
proven.
it drops from your hand, it won't
Yeah,
break.
and there are certain parameters depending on the product type. For tactical products, it's harder. For consumer level products, it's lower, but ballpark. Um, and then the next comes uh, DVT, design validation test, and that's very close to um, uh, launch version of the product. Now you're using tooling. Now you're using soft or hard tooling, meaning like instead of a 3D printed enclosure, now you have an injection molded enclosure. Very close to the actual products we have, right? And then the next one after that is PVT, which is product validation test, which is that's like like for instance, you can comfortably sell a DVT product. You can actually launch with DVT. PVT is like the final. That's right before you have like the um, um, full on launch, basically like manufacture in millions. Now you can comfortably invest in that level of tooling because the product is ready to launch. So there is one step between the MVP and EVT, or this can be a part of EVT. Now it's a little getting like little nitty gritties of the thing, but it's called DFM, which is design for manufacturing. Taking that prototype product and really designing every part and bit for mass manufacturing, preparing it for tooling, sourcing the right tool, reducing the number of screws, like all those things that are like,
Just refinement of the product.
yeah.
Yeah. And what are mistakes or common mistakes that are done during those transitions or those periods?
Not having the right people in place, meaning like I understand all these steps, but I am not an expert, and I know that. Startups, depending on their how much runway they have, they may want to go a little bit of cheap on staff and hire kind of low level people, or don't partner up with the right contract manufacturers, thinking that, oh yeah, like it's cheaper in China. And guess what? Like, depending on the product, it may actually cost you more strategically. So hiring the wrong people is one. Um, this is when they decide on the MVP, they keep bells and whistles, assuming that they need it, but it's really the need is emotional. It's not coming from the customers, but it's coming from themselves.
Yeah. You're
They
like, I
think,
want to add this thing to bring more value so they have more probability of success, but
yeah,
they're adding more things, just
yeah.
increases complexity.
Instead of validating just to keep the product sexy, they keep the bells and whistles, but then they add complexity to the product. Therefore, like all the actualization steps of the product is now encumbersome and complex and cost more headcount wise, time wise, and money wise.
Yeah.
So
All right. Let's talk about like funding. You have an idea, say you came up with a prototype in your garage, or like you bought a 3D printer and you have this concept. Um what what are the first steps to have someone give you some seed money?
well, it's an enrollment process, right? Like, first of all, you have to come from a place of vision. That's for sure. Um,
And where do you go? Like, you know, if
so
I
there
do
are
you go
different stages of funding, right? Like, there's pre-seed is usually ranges from friends and family. Oh, I have this amazing project. You, my uncle, my brother, my best friend, my colleague, would you put in 5K, 10K, 50K, right? Like small numbers. And then when you pass that stage, I mean, again, like you can jump into angel or seed if you have something, an amazing idea, super like a juicy business idea, whatever. But just a ballpark. The second phase is pre-seed, like angel. Angel can range anything from 20K to 500K, roughly ballpark. I mean, again, this depends on the company. Um, Angel round is basically the risk is higher. Angels usually are people, investors who have some of their kind of own money that they can risk, and they believe in what you're building. They believe in the mission. Maybe they suffered from the same problem that you're offering a solution to, so they want to back you up early on. So that's angel round ballpark. Um, and, I mean, again, like it doesn't have to be angels only. It can be an accelerator program that gives you early on. It can be NREs, non-recurring engineering, which is a non-dilutive capital path, where there's a strategic partner. You have a great idea. There's this ginormous company, let's say, I'm going to make a name up, like Honeywell or DJI and whatever, that like they like your idea. They want to make a make or buy decision. Do we want to build this technology ourselves, or do they have something ready that we want to acquire them, right? So it's a no strings attached one-off prototyping sprint. So they pay for the prototype and whatever it costs, and then you build your thing, and then they make a decision at the end. What it does is it gives you some cash, non-dilutive capital. You don't give any equity, right? And but then you get to build your next phase of your prototype or proof of concept, and then they get to see whether it's a doable concept. So that's a non-dilutive capital, or government funding is another path that you can take. All throughout your founder journey or startup journey, you can bring in government funding or um, grants and other means of non-dilutive capital.
So if you're the idea person, you probably want to bring people in that know how to get this, that are going to take care of the funding. Or if you're there, if you're just starting from scratch, you learn all
Early on, it
this.
has to be you. That's why um, especially first-time founders. I'm saying first-time founders because repeat founders are already wised up because of their mistakes. So now they already surround themselves with the right people, and they have their own kind of learnings. But first-time founders, they need to surround themselves with the right people that either know people or know the mechanics of fundraising, not just technical mechanics, but what it takes, right? Because it's a dance. It's a journey to learn how to fundraise. It's a relationship. Not only your relationship with the investors, but your relationship with your startup journey and fundraising. So they get to surround themselves with the right people, so they don't waste a lot of time assuming and attending events with no solid results.
Mm. What else? What and then okay, so okay, you get yourself some education, some mentorship around fundraising. You're getting some mentorship around developing the product. Then what about the developing, like, understanding, like, what's the market? Like, who's gonna buy this thing? Like, I have an idea of what it is, and I have an idea who's gonna buy it, but I'm sure I'm making a lot of assumptions that might
Yes, you are.
yeah, that
Go
might
ahead.
be very incorrect, right?
Yeah. So so there are a couple of scenarios here. Some of the founders, such as yourself, you come from um, you come from the field, right? You have firsthand experience, deep experience on experience with the problem you're offering a solution to, right? So that's a huge advantage. Um, when I designed the initial concept for see through, I did a 2 month research with the firefighters. I sat down with them. I interviewed them. I put on the suit and went into smoke diving myself. I experienced what that fire really looks like. What are they experiencing? I saw it myself first, and then I designed the product based on my findings. So that is a huge advantage for a founder. Some founders don't have this. Some are more come in as a more like biz. Let me see. How do I put it? Um, Founders with a business background, they they smell, they sniff an opportunity, they smell an opportunity, and they're good at it, but it's an intuition, right? They know, they sense a gap. They talk to a couple of people. And like uh I know founders that are amazing at it as well. So I don't want to disregard that. But they 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 generate momentum based on intuition, and then put the team together and then start building, and then kind of that's what we call um building the parachute on your way down from a cliff, right?
That
That's
doesn't sound safe.
Yeah, I know it's not. That's the risk factor of being a founder. Um it it feels funny right now being like coaching founders right now, but it is actually can be very intense when you're in it. Um So in that case, of course, you have to ASAP start talking to customers and start collecting data. Like it's a dance of closing the imagination gap, like while
Do
proving
you
the
talk
technical.
do you okay, say you're someone who's in the field, hypothetically, or hypothetically. Say you're someone that's in the field and you know the field really well. This is all hypothetical. Um, I feel very confident that I can identify the need and identify the problem. Um, like, how quickly should I go talk to other people in the field? Um, or before I build like a working prototype?
I mean, that's the first thing you need to do. Like you need to validate your idea first, and then you need to validate your technology, and that may not be with the users. That may be just collecting data, right? If that's it on the technical side. On the product side, you need to build a concept and create some visuals. That's your designers, your product designers. We had a huge advantage because I was an advanced product designer already. So I created a lot of like many of the concepts up until like 3 years ago, maybe. And I still worked with the engineers all the way through our different variations. Um, Once you have that visual that closes the imagination gap, you show something to customers or users, and then you talk about it. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's amazing." That's your second validation.
And what type of questions do you ask at that stage?
It's like asking like, "Do you like this button?" And it's like, "Yeah, because that looks good." But then like the user haven't used that button yet. So one of the things we do when we do user research is in the product design world is we built a physical look and feel model. It's not functional. Let's say this is ergonomics we are testing, or maybe an app. And then we give it to the users and we start filming as we interview them. Because what will happen is you ask like, it's like, um, like from 1 to 10, how do you like operating the camera feature. I'm making this up right now.
Yeah.
Let's say there's a camera feature on the app. They will say, "Oh yeah, it's great." But then in reality, when you watch the video, it will take them like 6 times to actually locate that button. Right? So that's the unbiased. Like also, like you design your questions in a very particular way that is unbiased. That you don't put words in their mouth because you want to collect raw data and then take it back home and then process and say like, oh, actually, you know what? Like it's taking them forever. Like we need to shorten that first like onboarding stage of the app, or like we got to simplify the ergonomics of the buttons and whatever. So
And I can see how you can be attached to the idea or how you're trying to do the thing and not want to take that feedback.
yeah, you need to learn. You need to learn and learn. That's a whole journey of any human on the being on the planet, in my personal opinion, to learn how to give feedback and receive feedback. Feedback. Here's the thing. If I were to give advice to founders, just one advice, one gold nugget that applies all across the board is would be to take yourself off the equation. That you are building a company. You need to build everything in your company, in such a way that you are replaceable. None of that is about you. Take yourself, that persona that makes you feel safe in this world, take that off the equation. None of this is about you.
That sounds really easy, Omer.
I know it is. It does sound easy. It takes a lot of work to, to even just like get to a mild place with it. But that's where all the toxicity happens. That's where like ego wars, like power over, power under dynamics happen. Power with dynamics kind of happen. That's where like sometimes founders make decisions just to win over a discussion and then risk the company. So take yourself off the equation. None of that is about you. It's about what you're building. It's about the vision. It's about the value you're bringing in through building that enterprise and the company.
How often do founders, what percentage of founders have mentors or coaches, would you say?
Work with
Yeah,
are
or
or are.
work with. Like first time founders, that have a mentor or have a coach.
I would say mentors more often
Yeah.
through accelerators or memberships they have that comes free. The problem with mentorship is it's great information. There is wisdom. I know a lot of amazing mentors that are my peers now that are experts in their field. But the problem is you get that mentorship once a month, once every 2 months, or maybe like you talk to five different mentors every other week about separate things. Now you still have to put things together yourself as the founder. Like it's great takeaways and fantastic. Now, what do you do with that? Right? So that's where coaching comes in play, right? Coaches are, and again, like you don't need a coach, you need to want a coach because if you know how to utilize a coach, that's amazingly powerful. A coach will hold you accountable. Remember, you are the boss. You don't have any other boss that holds you accountable unless you have that structure built in your company. And early on, nobody barely does, right? Discipline is what gets the clock ticking, but there is barely any accountability for multiple reasons why not. So coaches hold you accountable, coaches hold a mirror, coaches will give you direct feedback. So again, going back to the feedback, right? Learning how to take feedback is like it's not about don't it's not about you. When you give feedback, it's also not about you. It's about for the good of the other person. You are taking risk with your relationship to hold this other person to their highest. That's why you give feedback. It's not coming from a place of trigger. It's not about you.
And that could be very hard
It is very hard.
to give that feedback from a place of just benefit to the other person and truly not being about you. Because,
Yeah.
you can think it's not about you, but then you're like, oh, fuck.
That's why the rule of thumb is you never give feedback when you feel triggered because what happens is when you are triggered and giving feedback, we slip into very sneakily our limiting beliefs and our filters sneak in, and we like unconsciously try to punish the other person through giving feedback, right? So give yourself 24 hours before you give feedback. So you are coming from a more neutral place.
All right, Omer, where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. It's OMERHA, or they can type my name, Omer Haciomeroglu. It's a long last name, but give it a try. Or they can go to my website on omerh.xyz.
Okay. All right, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Vamos.